2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. My mic sounds nice. Check. 1. What's happening, people? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's Thursday night. Hope you're thirsty because I'm going to quench somebody's thirst. We're going to do this like we do this. We're going to do this. Look like all systems are go. So what I need you to do, I need you to come on in, take your seat, sit yourself down and take a seat. Do what we do. Let's do this the way we always do it. But let's do it a little bit better than we did it before. Because every week we want to get a little bit better than we were the week before. Um, you know what's happening. Come on in, give me some thumbs up, show me some love. Where's everybody at? I see a couple people here. I see a couple people. Yeah. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Oh, you back too, huh? I see you. 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 What's happening, people? How y'all doing? Somebody show me some love. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some hand claps. Give me some love. Give a brother some hugs and kisses, you know? Say you love me. Say I'm the one your heart sees. Tell me you need me, need me. You don't sound like I need you. You see, I need you. See me through. I want to hear you say good evening, good evening, good evening. Yeah, I'm tripping. It's been a stressful week, people. It's been a stressful week. How you doing, sugar? That's right. Give me some love. Show me some love. Give me some hand claps. Give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some. You know how we do. How we do. There you go. Give me some more, girl. You know I can't get enough of you. You know I can't. Even if I could, I wouldn't want it to. I can't help myself if I wanted to. I wouldn't help myself even if I could. So what's happening? That's right. YouTube, y'all. Yeah, better give me some love. YouTube. YouTube. Where you at? Give me some love. I see some numbers. Numbers don't be falling off. Y'all better get off them little raggedy iPhones. Y'all better get off them little raggedy iPhones and get y'all some Android. I call them Y phones. Um, my son does AV setups and all of that good stuff, and he's been drinking apple Kool-Aid since day one, I believe. Apple made me mad way back in the day when they came out with their phones, but they wouldn't give nobody any insurance on them. So they said if you break the phone, you just have to buy another one. I said, oh no, the hell I don't. I tell you what, I won't buy one. So I've been Android since the beginning, and then I got music downloaded from the days of Kazaa. I probably got 10,000 songs, and if I went iPhone, I'd have to change all of that. I'd lose so much music. I'll go back old school with some of these songs in a heartbeat. No. So that's what it's all about. But how's everybody doing? See a couple people here, a couple people there. Facebook kind of screwed me royally. I've been trying to get my audience back. I lost part of my audience doing that Zuck Sucks imposed hiatus where he had me suspended for about 39 days. So you notice I haven't been on Facebook as much, simply because I don't want to run the risk of being suspended again. So with that being said, and say, how's everybody doing? I see some of you people are on time, and I know some other people have some things to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get in and get out. I'm gonna try to make this short tonight. A couple weeks ago, we were really rolling, and it was probably my longest show. But honestly, it was probably my best show because there was so much crowd participation. I usually screens while I'm doing the show, and I saw so much support asking questions and making comments and making all of that, and I love it. Um, Over this last week or two, some of you have been calling me and asking questions and making suggestions and so forth and so on. And I just want to say, oh, I thank you. Um, Others have keep asking me, why don't you either run for office? Why don't you teach? You understand? I've even been asked, why don't you preach? I say, I do enough preaching right here. I don't need to be standing in a pulpit. So, all the feedback, I just want to say, I truly appreciate it. It shows me more love than the hugs and kisses and the thumbs up. This is the thumbs up and what have you. Unfortunately, in what I call the media world, social media world, it says something because to them, it's a measurable sign of success. To me, my success is when you guys come to me and you show me A, that you're paying attention, and B, you show me that it actually makes sense. C, and most importantly, when you come to me, because believe it or not, I get fed up with um, preaching this message sometimes, and it appears to fall on deaf ears. And when I start to feel like that, it's one of you that come back and tell me, hey, look, hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. The way you deliver this message, the way you talk about politics, the way you talk about public policy, the way you talk about history, it makes sense. So keep on doing what you're doing. So when you send me these messages, it reinvigorates me, it re-energizes me, and it gives me the will. Sometimes I keep saying I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Um, Sometimes I feel like it's a power higher than you and I telling me to keep on keeping on. And this is not about numbers. If I reach one every week, and that person carries that message to somebody else, or that person goes out on his or her own and started investigating some things and contributing to the overall culmination of knowledge to us, the people, because this is not about me. This is about getting things done. Then all of the work that I put into the show and otherwise um, is not in vain. So with that is 33, I'm gonna go ahead and say good evening, welcome to the show. Um, Thank you for spending your Thursday night with me. As always, I'm this and I mean it. Of all the things you could be doing on night, for you to stop what you're doing and come on in to quench your thirst with this little bit of knowledge that I can give you, I have truly am humbled and appreciative of that. My name is Hank Batiste. My show is called OMITDALOGIC. This shit makes no sense. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head, plain and simple, are fed up. As I see the media and Congress still obsessed with Ukraine, I ask myself one simple question. Is it possible for the White House? Is it possible for Congress to walk and chew bubblegum? Most of these guys are practicing attorneys, and I guess some of them haven't practiced for so long because their job has been, I want to say, legislating and leading as elected officials. But in recent years, it's become apparent that it's more self serving than it is anything else. But I just want to ask the question one time. Is it possible for the White House? Is it possible for Congress to walk and chew bubble gum? And that's a simple thing. It's an analogy that everybody's heard. When I look at the media, about 99.97% of the news coverage is about Ukraine. And only what angers me, and I feel for anyone in oppressive or desolate situations. That's why I do what I do. But on the other hand, I see this as too much of a distraction, especially when the only legislation getting passed is help and military aid to Ukraine. The only legislation getting passed is help, health, and military aid to Ukraine. You would swear that we're all in this lap of luxury. You would swear that there was no such thing as 7-point inflation here in America. You would swear that there was no such thing, that gas was only a buck a gallon. You would swear that, seniors are not having problems with health care, and we weren't still having problems with COVID. You would swear that, we not having all of these racial issues that we're being plagued with. You would swear that we're not being plagued with the divisions that we have, not just in America, but in the so-called legislative branch, in the executive branch, in the judicial branch, on the U.S. Supreme Court. You would swear with as much attention as being given to the war in Ukraine, and I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. But at some point, we have to be able, as leaders, to walk and chew bubblegum, which basically means if you're going to focus on Ukraine, then you need to focus equally as much or more on the issues and the problems that's plaguing America right here, right now. Midterm elections, people, are scheduled for November the 8th, 2022. That's 100, exactly 194 days from today. As it stands right now, it does not look promising for the Dems. Now, I used to say Dems is short for Democrats. Now, because they seem to be so dim-witted, I now call them the DIMs. As it stands now, it does not look promising for the Dems to maintain that slim margin of control. And I say that jokingly because we see what's happening. Nothing is getting passed in the House, and certainly nothing is getting done in the Senate. So as we examine the possibilities of a Trump-Republican controlled Congress, it's obvious that the immediate future does not look promising for America either. And this is why I bring my sippages. I'm sorry about that. Man, that's good. So let me say that one more time. As we examine the possibilities of a Trump-Republican controlled Congress, it's obvious that the immediate future does not look promising for Congress or we the people that we call America either. I still believe that the best course of action is for Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer to grow a pair and sanction Manchin and take control of the Democratic Party. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a couple things. I'm going to talk about just some simple instructions, and I'm going to use some analogies. The same instructions that we get prior to taking off on an airplane. So tonight's show is simply called Enough Ukraine Already. It's time to focus on America. My name is Hank Batiste. This is OMITDALOGIC. This shit don't make no sense. This shit makes no sense, but we're going to try to make sense of it. So let's do this. 194 days to the midterm elections. 194 days, people. That means on November the 8th, either things are going to get better or what we saw for 4 years of Donald Trump is going to be worse. So not only will the last 2 years of Joe Manchin obstructing the Democratic Party and preventing Joe Biden from being able to do anything, making Biden a lame duck president when his party is in control of Congress. Folks, I've been following politics since 16 years old, and I have never seen anything like this. Now, I always throw the historical perspective in there. The thing that kind of tickles me now is when Republicans talk about Ronald Reagan like he was the first coming of the second coming of Christ. What most people, except historians, don't realize is the Republicans fought with Reagan. They provided this thing called oversight because they saw him as a former actor, even though he was the governor of California. They always see California as this, as they call it, this liberal state where anything goes. So the way you run California is not the way you run the country. So they fought Reagan tooth and nail. But one thing for damn sure, it was nothing. It was nothing like what's happening now with the DIMs obstructing anything that Biden could do. And it seems that Biden just does not have the intestinal fortitude. I wanted to say testicular, but I'm going to take it a little higher. The intestinal fortitude to take control of his party and do what he needs to so that we can get things done to recapture, as in his words, to recapture the soul of America or to build back better after 4 years of regressive, self-serving Trump-Publican politics. 194 days. Given the fact that the Dems, the DIMs, appear to be totally befuddled and having a clue as to how to get back on track, given the fact that Manchin is still doing whatever he wants to do, given the fact that there does not seem to be a sense of urgency to regain America's confidence, I am petrified. Given the fact that the Dems, the DIMs, have sat idly by and allowed the Trump Republicans to gerrymander and redraw voting districts to almost ensure not only that they win in 2022, but that they regain the White House in 2024. And I'm going to talk again about what will happen if that happens. And I hate to use this thing because it implies the race card. But so I'm gonna say this. If Obama had done 1/16 of the things that Despicable Donnie did, if Bill Clinton had done 1/32nd of the things that despicable, delusional Donnie did, he would have not only been impeached, he would have been deemed unfit to ever run for president again. But yet, given all the bullshit that despicable, delusional Donnie has done, he's still a viable candidate. Given the fact that this man is so childish that it doesn't take my Creole powers to tell you, if he gets back in office with all that the Trump Republicans, because it's no longer a Republican Party, he has such a stranglehold on the Republicans that the only ones that can get elected is those that kiss his ring and other parts of his anatomy. So, given the fact that all of those things are on the horizon, I'm petrified. This is why I am stressing these midterm elections, the 2022 elections, more so, and get this, this is why I am stressing these midterm elections more so than I did the 2020 presidential election. Because this is going to shape these elections, this election on November the 6th, 2022. And the reason I say these, because pay attention to where you are. Because there are elections happening right here, right now, locally and on the state level. There's legislation that's being passed right now, locally and on the state level, that's going to reshape this thing called we the people in order to form a more perfect union, so that there are no more we the people. The biggest problem that the founding fathers made is they spoke of a democracy, but they formed a republic, which means every man gets a vote, so we're told. But we see that changing. But even when every man gets a vote, those that get to choose things like president is a college of delegates, of electors. So those that we so-called elect to lead us, to legislate for us, who's supposed to be working for us, in turn work for themselves and run the country as they see fit. This design, back during the Declaration of Independence in the first Congress, this design of republic was conceived and implemented simply because so many of the people in America were illiterate and could not read. We're not talking about slaves. We're not talking about Native American Indians. We're talking about those white Europeans that were brought here to populate this new country by King George. He emptied out the paupers' prisons so that he could have people here to claim this land for Great Britain, because the Spaniards and the French and the Portuguese and everybody else, once this was known, everybody wanted to come in and claim a piece for themselves. So once the founding fathers got here, they started populating this. And unfortunately, these people They were peasants. They were indentured servants themselves, which meant they were this far ahead of slavery, of being slaves themselves. And I digress. But I want you to understand, given the fact that we the people cannot agree, that we are in a state of crisis, and that the solution, and I admit that the DIMs is the lesser of two evils. Given the fact that they're the best of the of these two. So it's up to us, we the people, to hold them accountable and make sure that they do what we elected them to do. But yet, there's not enough of you and I. Too many people say I'm not into politics. Too many people make the excuse, well, that's why I don't vote, because it don't matter. If your vote didn't matter, why the hell are they working so hard to redraw district maps? Because every vote counts. If your vote didn't matter, then why are they trying so hard to keep those people that don't agree with this narrow-minded way of running the country? Why are they trying so hard to keep them from voting? Because every vote counts. 194 days till November the 8th, the midterm elections. And as I said previously, there are elections happening on a local and state level right now. So get involved, get engaged, get energized, and let's gear up. I don't care what they throw over at us in November. Let's be prepared for it. And the one thing that I ask, this has nothing to do with Nancy being a woman. This has nothing to do with me being a black man. This has nothing to do with me having an XY chromosome. I say the same thing about Joe Biden. I say the same thing about Chuck Schumer. I say the same thing about anybody. If you are not leading as I feel you should lead, then I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to expose you. So the thing that I need you guys to do for me, especially you black women, yeah, I'm going to play the race card, because anytime it's a woman issue, it is the black woman who is the first to stand up, don a shield, and hit the front line. Don't you be talking about no women issues. Women have waited too long. You are not Nancy Pelosi. Nancy and Paul Pelosi is making millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on Wall Street. If any black woman out there is profiting from it, raise your hand. I'll wait. It is time for Nancy to give up that goddamn gavel. She's done nothing as Speaker of the House, but promoted herself, profited herself, and those like her Barbara Streisand, I promise you, who's a whole lot richer, for backing her. So we need to ensure that we increase the numbers and that we can have enough so-called progressives to get Nancy butt out of there. And it's time for Chuck to stand aside too. Because if Chuck Schumer cannot keep Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema in check, then why is he the majority leader? What are you leading? I'm not going to go off the rails, but I'm very passionate about this because this is our job as voters. Given the fact that Congress and the White House has allowed what's happening in Ukraine to become a total distraction And nothing is getting done legislatively except state by state gerrymandering and redistricting and cherry picking by Republicans to put people in place to ensure that Trump gets another bite at the apple. It's going to be poisonous fruit for all of us. We have to tell the Dems, the DIMs, it's time to grow a pair. It's time to sanction Joe Manchin. It's time to regain the confidence of America now. Moving on. Here's this analogy I talked about. Put your mask on first. I understand how, and I need to say this again because I don't want anybody to say, well, you don't care about what's happening in Ukraine. You don't care about those people being in the situation that they're in. You don't care about what would happen if Russia gets control of Eastern Europe and blah, blah, blah. I care about all of that. I get it. But all of us have been on an airplane and received these pre-takeoff instructions. The flight attendant simply says, if in the event of a loss of oxygen, mask will drop from the ceiling. Now, here's the crucial part. We are instructed, if you're traveling with someone, put your mask on first. That simply means if you're traveling with your child, you put this child's mask on and you perish, not only are you done for, that child is done for as well. Put your mask on first. So we need Congress. We need Pelosi. We need Schumer. We need Biden to understand that the only mask that Manchin is interested in putting on is Joe Manchin's mask. So as you representing us and America, we the people, for the people, of the people, we will perish unless you put your mask on and put us first. Allow me to reiterate what Trump-Publican control will mean if we lose in November the 8th, 194 days. And I keep reiterating that. November the 9th, January 2023, and possibly the next 6 years if the Trump-Publicans seize control of America again. First of all, this in-depth investigation that Pelosi was supposedly leading into this so-called insurrection that I deemed a failed coup attempt, that goes away. What little chance we had of holding anyone responsible other than those nobody unknown faces that we saw briefly on camera on January the 6th, all of this goes away. There'll be no holding Trump accountable. And by the way, Mitch chose not to hold him accountable. He said because he was not the only person. To that, I say this, and you know this. It was him and him alone that invited all of his little Trumpsters, Trumpettes, and Trumpies to Washington, D.C. It was him and him alone who told them, if you want this, you have to be willing to fight and take our country. It was him who gave them instruction and said Nancy and Pelosi and Mike Pence must go. So it was despicable, delusional Donald J. Trump, who gave them marching orders and incited them to the point where they went down Constitution Avenue to the U.S. Capitol with gallows and ropes, talking about hanging Mike Pence and killing Nancy Pelosi. So how is it this man is still a viable candidate? Because people like Mitch would rather have power at all costs. When Trump was in control, Mitch controlled the Senate. So arguably, the one person that was more powerful than Trump was Mitch McConnell. It was Mitch McConnell that made the picks for the U.S. Supreme Court. It was Mitch McConnell that appointed these judges, federal judges, circuit court judges, and a lot of state judges. So that whole investigation goes away. These last 2 years of Biden presidency, now we could see he's fighting an uphill battle right now, just fighting his own party in Joe Manchin. Imagine what his last 2 years would be like with Kevin McCarthy in charge of the House and Mitch McConnell in charge of the Senate. They use terms like lame duck. Lame means injured. Lame duck is a dead duck that has yet to be shot. So basically, the last 2 years of Joe Biden's presidency will be beyond lame duck. Despicable Donnie will become even more powerful than he already is. And if that doesn't frighten you, to hell with Michael Myers. To hell with Freddy Krueger. Imagine if this man gets what he wants. Imagine where that leaves you and I. Imagine where that leaves America. The Republicans, the Trumpublicans, will pass voting laws on a federal level that will ensure that all future elections are tilted in their favor. And I promise you, if Trump is reelected, the first thing they're going to seek to do is abolish the 25th Amendment that prevents any person from running for president more than twice. And this idiot is going to be trying to become president for life. Meanwhile, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and any programs that they deem as social aid. We give money to social aid to Ukraine, but they won't give a nickel. So programs like Medicare, Medicaid, preschool healthcare for seniors, all of that will be gutted. It will be no more. Meanwhile, the richest 1 to 3% are going to get even bigger tax breaks. McCarthy and McConnell will take over. And I'm not one who whines. But those who do and say that's why you don't vote, you're going to see it first. Moving on. Mr. Biden, Ms. Pelosi, Mr. Schumer, I need you to multitask. What if the Dems grew a pair and sanctioned cinema and Manchin? What if the Dems started governing as though Manchin was not a Dem? Because it's obvious that he's not. Why is he still getting Democratic money? What if Manchin was stripped of his committees and sanctioned? What if Biden starts unilaterally making decisions and, if necessary, signing executive orders? What if Biden suddenly started appealing to those people that were supporting him, those people that voted for him? And he says, you know what? If Congress doesn't work with me, I'm going to do it alone. And you will see how my vision will work for you. Then and only then Congress won't have a choice but to get with the program. So I say, let's sanction Manchin. Let's regain control of Congress. Let's show America that we're working for we the people. Let's regain the confidence of America and the support of everyday Americans. What if we had a truly democratic Congress? What if in 2022, November the 8th, 2022, what if in 194 days we actually increase that slim margin or advantage that the Dems have? Billionaires and the uber rich would be forced to pay their fair share of taxes. The money that we spend abroad, there would have to be some money to match it. For every dollar that we spend on Ukraine, we should be spending $5 on America. Because we're building a country that is being bombed. Meanwhile, our own infrastructure is crumbling and falling apart. I can't say this enough. We need things like police reform. Because any person that dies at the hands of a cop who took an oath to protect and serve is one too many. So we need reform. I don't care if you call it the George Floyd law. I don't care if you call it police reform 2022. It needs to be done. And then we need to redo voting. Not back to what it was, but better than what it was. We need to make sure that it's more accessible. So that whole John Lewis thing, that Voting Rights Act, that also drowned in the congressional swamp under Nancy Pelosi's tutelage and leadership, it needs to come back. It needs to be passed. There needs to be affordable health care for the poor. Because if they win again, I promise you, Obamacare will fall by the wayside. I promise you, those things that they call in pre-existing conditions, first of all, is nonsense. A pre-existing condition, who lives and not have something? So now this gives the insurance company an excuse not to pay when you get sick. So insurance for you and me will become almost a thing of the past. Tax breaks for the poor, the middle class, and the disenfranchised, forget about it. The tax breaks will be again to the richest 1% and 3%. And finally, it's going to be a free for all. When we look at what's been happening over the last 18 months, Nancy and Paul Pelosi making money hand over fist on Wall Street. 43% of Congress owning stock in Moderna and Pfizer. So every vaccine that we get, not only does Pfizer and Moderna get richer, but members of Congress get richer. Do you not see a problem with this? So, Mr. Pelosi, I'm sorry. So, I don't know if this is Nancy or Paul. So, that was a Freudian slip. So, let me rephrase that. Miss Pelosi, Mr. Schumer, and Mr. Biden, I need you to be able to walk and chew bubble gum. If I need you to at least focus equally as much on America as you do now on Ukraine. I need you to put your mask on first and take care of America. That's all I got for you tonight, folks. As always, before I go, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to beg you, I'm going to plead with you to go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you've already subscribed, turn on some people that don't know about me. Share my podcast with a friend. If you came in late, go back and look at this whole podcast. Listen to it. You don't have to see my face. Just turn it on. Turn it on YouTube while you're in the car. Turn it on while you're washing the dishes or while you're doing whatever you do. I'm sorry. I'm a sick puppy. But go to my YouTube. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Give me some positive reinforcement. Even if you found something wrong, tell me that too. I'm not perfect. I don't profess to be, but I work my behind off. Give me some positive words. Remember, and I always say this, don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. Because the one thing about this game called life, nobody leaves alive. See you next week, right here. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. And as always, my name is Hank Batiste. This is OMITDALOGIC. This shit makes no sense. But every week I'm going to try to make sense of it. I'm going to give you something to quench your thirst and give you hopefully a little bit of knowledge. And like Cosby used to say on Fat Albert, if you're not careful, you might learn something. Hey! As always, important folks, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I wish you love. I wish you peace. And like your man, hair grease. I'm out of here. Good night, people. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. What? Yeah. Yeah. See, man. Preaching good. I was trying not to preach. Yeah. I know. They're listening to his illness. Um, you guys, I appreciate you. I really do. Hopefully, since I got no complaints tonight, I think YouTube was on point. I think we've worked out the YouTube bugs. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at this. And you guys have a great evening. Appreciate you. Much love. I'm out.